So today we're going to look at problem 2.3 from Thinking with Math Models book, and we're talking about solving linear equations, which we've done lots of practice with in lots of different ways. But today we're going to look at a specific problem called Sandy's Boathouse, and it rents canoes, and we're given the equation C, which means cost, equals 0.15 t right here, plus 2.50. This gives the charge, which is the letter C, in dollars for renting canoes for t minutes. So we have the t for time in minutes and the C for the cost. And so the first part of this problem asks us to explain what the numbers in this particular equation mean. So I'm going to go ahead and write the equation out so I can do some work with it here. And it's cost, that's what C represents, equals 0.15 times T, which represents time. So we're going to multiply 0.15 times the time plus 2.50. Now if you think about the situation, you're going to rent a canoe for a certain amount of time, and you're going to pay money for it. So these terms here have to be money terms. So this one would make sense to think about 0.15 times time would be 15 cents or $0.15 per minute of canoe rental time. So the 0.15 represents a unit rate, which is typical of the slope, or the number that multiplies times the whatever variable is, in this case time. And then there's also this other additional charge of $2.50, which basically is like an initial fee or just a base rate or base charge that you have to pay no matter how long you rent the canoe for. So if you rent it for 1 minute, that $2.50 is there. If you rent it for 10 minutes, it's still that $2.50 plus the amount of money for the time. So that's how you would explain what the numbers in the equation mean. The 0.15 is the 15 cents per minute, and then the $2.50 is a base charge that you pay for renting the canoes. Now it says Rashida and Serena apply for jobs at Sandy's, and the manager tests them with 3 questions. So here's their little to see if they know what they're doing when they are renting canoes. And so the first question is, well, what is the charge for renting a canoe for 30 minutes? So if they're doing their math right, all they have to do is figure out the cost for renting the canoe for 30 minutes by multiplying the 0.15 times the 30 minutes plus the $2.50 charge. And so when we do that calculation, we're going to take the 0.15 times the 30 and then add the $2.50. And if you do that correctly, it should come out to $7 for a 30-minute. There's your time, 30 minutes, for your canoe rental fee. So that would answer our first question for 30 minutes. Second question is, the customer's charged $8.50, so now we have to work a little bit backwards. We know the charge, or the cost, is $8.50. And so now what we want to do is see if we can figure out how much time. So the T is the part we're trying to figure out now. And so to do this, we kind of have to work backwards a little bit. We have to figure out what we multiplied by the 0.15 to get that $8.50. Well, there's this $2.50 charge, so if I subtract that from the $8.50, which gives me $6, then I know that the time part of this was found by taking 0.15 times something that equals $6. So really now what I have is $6 equals 0.15 times the time. And whenever you have a situation where you know that you're multiplying something times something else to get this other part, then I know that I'm just going to divide, because I want $6 divided by 0.15 should give me the time that they spent in the canoe on this problem. So I'm going to take $6 divided by 0.15, and that means that they spent 40 minutes in the canoe. And all this is just using the equation that was given and either solving for one part or another based on what I know or don't know. Now the third question in the test was, suppose the customer has $10 to spend, how long can you use the canoe for? So again, we're in a very similar situation to the one we just did. If we have $10 to spend, and really the last time you see it was $8.50 that was spent, so I know it's going to be more than 40 minutes, but I'm going to do this the same way because I know that it's 0.15 times the time plus the $2.50 base charge. And so now, to solve this, I'm simply going to take the $10 minus the $2.50 base charge that I know is always there. So that gives me $7.50 is what was spent on time. And if I take that $7.50 and remember that it's 15 cents per minute and divide it by that 15 cents per minute, then if I take my $7.50 divided by the 15 cents per minute, it looks like we would have used the canoe for 50 minutes. And that answers my 3 questions that we were asked to answer for this part of this problem.